the reason there was no people there is because somehow it was just like off. I'm not really sure. Hello, YouTube. Okay. So, anyways, that's what they would think. So your question was, hearing and seeing things is not always schizophrenia. No, I think it always is. I think you can have a psychotic break, but if you're seeing and hearing things, that means that there's schizophrenia involved. Usually, that's the definition of it. Actually, religious context is schizophrenia in the DSM. Sorry, I don't know what DSM is. Interesting thought. Thanks for the time. Absolutely, sweet sugar walls. Who is he talking about? Very interesting. Talking about Carl Jung. Thank you, Soulflow. You can hold a mental state with discipline, but for Navy SEALs requires that. Yeah. Well, I can tell you from experience. So I've done. This is not for the faint-hearted, kids. I've done 5,400 mics one time, and yes, 5,400. You heard it right. And anybody who have partook, is that the right? Who have partaken will understand that that's an insane amount of the substance. And I told this to a neuroscientist, and she said I am lying, and I said I am not lying. I did this. She's like, nope, you absolutely 100% lying because you're confused, because you would go into I forget what it's called. It's some kind of a shock that you're supposed to go in. Like literally, your brain can't. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you. I know for a fact what was on the tabs, and I know for a fact I ate over 50 of them, and there was at least 100 on each one of them. And she's like, okay. I'm like, oh, on top of that, I was driving to Vegas, so real fear and loathing in Las Vegas. And what I remember, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because by no means am I recommending this, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because I could, after about 30 of them, I actually wanted to see, the reason I did this is because I wanted, well, aside from being insane in that way, I wanted to see if there's any point, but because I could always my whole life, no matter what I did, I always understood where north is. Like I know what's going on, no matter what it is, right? No matter how crazy it is. I wanted to see if there's a line where I kind of lose it, like not lose it, like, but like don't know what's going on anymore. Not a smart experiment, especially not driving, obviously. I was much younger, also, obviously. But when I did this, after about 30 of them, I did see that I was kind of getting pretty confused about what's going. Like I wasn't sure that I have a grasp on what's happening, but then I had to stop on the side of the road. But then I remember, okay, I can't be here because it's probably worse for me to do this, just sit here. So I decided to try and keep driving. And what I did is I looked at my knuckle, and then I looked at the road, and I realized that as long as I see that the lines in the middle of the road, which I know represent where I want to be, either to the left or to the right of, and then as long as I can see that the knuckle aligns with these lines exactly how it is now, I'm good. So I focused all my attention, everything I could, on the knuckle and on the lines of the road, and I was fine. And then on some other occasion, I did like 300 mics, and I went bunkers. Like I just like, completely lost. Like I didn't know what was happening. It was like crazy. So it just tells you that your attention and your ability to hold attention is actually key to a lot of these things. So I done down for a second that Carl Jung did what he did. I'd like to research more on that. Who was he just talking about regarding synchronicities? Thank you. Who was he? Well, I guess you can call him one of the fathers of modern uh, psychotherapy. Not really, because he wasn't like a psychotherapist, but he did a lot to investigate the mind. So I guess he was one of the first cognitive scientists. I guess but he was also a mystic. He was doing a lot of things. You can't put him in a box. Like you really can't. He was one of a kind. Clara audience is hearing, not seeing. I see. Let me see. Was able to control that consciously. Yeah, he was a bit. Well, yeah. I know that I'm late for the comments, so somebody already probably answered that. But yes, he was able to control a lot about his states. I'm familiar with all of the clairs. Interesting. It's a glitch. Hey, Mandalax Cakes. It's a glitch in the Matrix. What is it? What's up, Spore Muse? Yep. Switch Sugar Waltz. That is correct. 5400. Yep. Oh, I see. I see. List of identified conditions. Thank you, Arikos. No, it's not we're not talking about the molecule. We're talking about acid. So almost a bottle, or I don't know how much is in the bottle, but over 50 tabs. It was each one was like 100 mics, about maybe a little more, but not all at once. By the way, just to be clear, I kept on eating them basically as I was driving. After about 30, I had to stop, and then I kept going, and then I went to about 54. For sure, not well, not first time. No, first time I was like 11 or something. I had an interesting life. 300 mic is solid beginner dose. No, I think 90 to 110 is a solid beginner dose. Manual. Okay. DSM is a diagnostic statistic manual in the US for diagnosing mental health conditions. Got it. Okay, I didn't know that. I appreciate that, guys. Beginner should start with a yeah. There you go. Definitely with a sitter. I mean, this is something I would not recommend for anyone. I only told the story to the extent that I know for a fact from experience that you can control anything with the amount of attention you bring to it. That's for sure. But people like Carl Jung, honestly, they really are one of a kind because, and they fascinate me because I mean, literally, they're investigating a space to which there is no map, and they're charting the map, and you're playing the ultimate game, which is your own cognition, and you don't know what's going to happen to it. You don't know how far you can go before you completely break, right? Some people, like Cantor, for example, the guy who came up with set theory, he developed all the mathematics dealing with infinities, and he died in an insane asylum. Now you can say that maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't think so, because the first time he went to the insane asylum, he stopped working on math, and then he got better. And then when he got out, he went back to work on his mathematics, and he lost it again. So it's definitely related. So you don't know how far you can go before you break, especially not with something that is as direct as directly looking at your experience. Thank you. Directly looking at your experience as both the tool of investigation and the tool by which you're investigating, which is kind of like, like it's everything you have and everything you will ever have. Andrew Callahan, a Gonzo journalist. I like his permanent matrix vision from earlier. What does permanent matrix vision mean? Interesting. Does he discuss that anywhere I could see? Yeah, that would be interesting to see. For sure he does. It has to be on YouTube. Okay, let's see. Andrew Callahan. So, oh, okay, yeah. Hello to everybody on YouTube. I don't know what was going on. We've been streaming for like, how long have we been going on? For like 40, 50 minutes? And only now, for some reason, it's showing people. Let's see. Mama N, how are you? Cool. All right. So yeah, what else can I say about Carl Jung? I honestly, I think it's I should probably reread the Red Book now. Maybe it's a sign. It is wild to me that he basically took this idea that synchronicities can happen, and he made it into a science project. He's like, hey, I see this event. I wonder if it connects to this other event. Well, everybody are telling you you're crazy. Imagine that the whole world is telling you you're crazy, but you're so smart that you know that no, they're crazy. That is amazing. Well, I guess the tail mark of a true genius, right? But it wasn't just that; it was the fact that he had so many technical skills. Are links allowed on TikTok? I only downloaded this app so I could watch this stream. Wow, I appreciate it, Ricos. Uh, this wait, you knew about my stream and you downloaded the app just to watch it? That's incredible. Um, no, it doesn't allow for hyperlinks. Wait, really? Where do you know about my work and stream from? Just out of curiosity. I mean, I'm honored, but how do you know about it from other places? Also, I've been following you. Oh, wow. Well, again, I'm honored. What is um what was my oh yeah, can I do hyperlinks? So if you want to send me something, you can either send it to my DM here, but I'm gonna have to copy paste it in the browser, or you can email me to lasersimulationx@gmail.com, lasersimulationx@gmail.com. What are the good philosophers? Um I've recently tried to, because I never actually read it before, so I started listening to it because it was, it was easier for me, at least in that case. What's his face? Hold on, I'll tell you. Can everybody see me? Is it live again? Okay. What is going on, dude? There we go. We're back. So yeah, I just had to look because for some reason I spaced on the name, but Schopenhauer. Obviously, one of the most famous philosophers of all time, and I never actually read him, so I decided to start listening to it. And the more I listen to it, the more I understand that a lot of these people from this era of they had like a similar. Well, they went very deep into the specific analytics of each and every step of everything about the human experience. But it's almost like they looked at it from the perspective of like a physicist would look at it, right? You take a concept or something that is happening inside as a thought, and then you start breaking it down to the smallest pieces possible, and hope that something will come out of it. And I feel like this is where Carl Jung was different, because he didn't he understood that experience is continuous. It's never this thing that you have to break down into parts, because it doesn't make any sense to talk, for example, about the different parts from which different colors are made, the experience of different colors, because the experience of color is just what it is. It just is, right? And color might be a bad example because Schopenhauer only talks about, like, things like how is the mind divided to different parts and what each part plays, and he justifies it by breaking down the way that we usually experience human interaction, inner thought, convictions, any way in which a cultural what would be the word, any way that the culture will define certain things, right? So color would be a bad example of this, but still it feels like it was kind of missing the point. In that way, he was missing the point because he's trying to make it into the different parts and how they play a role, which can be useful, but ultimately you have to connect it back into this continuous thing, which I feel like he never does. And I feel like that's where he kind of, that's, well, not just him, honestly. It's Carl Jung. I feel like he was the only one that allowed the stream to hit him exactly how it came. And Ricos, I'm deeply honored. I did not know that I have such great fans that follow me for years. So hopefully it's impactful enough, and I'm gonna keep trying to do my best. This is such a bummer that YouTube wasn't streaming for the last like 40, 50 minutes. I don't know what's happening there. Hold on. Oh, it's okay. No, you're good. We're back. Thank you, Ricos. I appreciate it. Yeah, about the documentary, I'm excited to share some of the teasers soon. And then we'll do the crowdfunding for the next part of the production. That'll be great. I do promise something that is going to be very entertaining and fun. And hopefully insightful and to some degree enlightening. Let's see. What else can I say about philosophy? I always feel like I used to nerd out on philosophy for so long that it almost feels like, I don't know. It feels like every time I would go into these deep conversations with people, especially people who are like kind of like really in it, right, in academia, it does feel that it has this element, this difference that I was outlining between um, Jung and all the other thinkers in that space, that everybody keeps trying to analyze it and then they forget the actual experience in the middle and what it's telling them. And I feel like that's where they were missing the main story. And what I love about the way that Carl Jung was going about it is that, for example, mystics or people who are more in the spiritual realm, they neglect the other side of it. They neglect the fact that, well, you still have to understand what the regularities are, even though it's a much more complex than people assume. And he never lost the sight of the fact that you both have to make sure that you introduce the analytical part, but you allow experience to hit you for what it is, which is not just this some kind of a project to break apart and then find out how it all fits together. I really want to know what happened to YouTube, honestly. Kind of drives me insane a little bit. Send an invite again. You're welcome to come on, of course. I would actually love to hear what your thoughts are after you're done with the Red Book Soul Flow. We can exchange some ideas. I remember that in the first maybe 1/3 of the book, I was pretty confused, just because like I understood what was happening, give or take, and he's talking a lot about particular dreams and then some how he saw what was in the dreams in relation to what was happening in reality and how these things connect. And I have to admit that, at least for me in my life, I never found dreams to be that meaningful. Maybe because for me personally, they never really informed anything. And it was the first time that I thought about doing that even as an idea. And I don't know, maybe because different people's minds are so different, it just never, like, I never find something in a dream that I can say I can attach to anything that happens to me in reality. I know people tell me all the time that sometimes something would happen to them. And I don't mean just events that then they can, translate to reality. I mean that the dream informs them in any way about what is beneficial for their day to day. It always does feel to me like the dream is just kind of like the brain's kind of doing this defragmentation. It's not actually connected necessarily with what's going on in my regular life. But that was the first time that I thought about potentially doing that, and I have failed. It doesn't feel like I've actually managed to bring it to a level where it played any roles. But this is why maybe I need to reread it now. When I read it, it was before the laser, and maybe we'll have even some hints in there. There was a point that I was trying to make before we got into the tangent about Carl Jung. Oh, that how philosophy in general fits with the rest of the picture of, the scientific endeavor and the human mind. So I do think that I wish there would be a more encouragement of all the different sciences, and honestly, really anywhere, to inject more of a philosophical framework that would help to, first of all, make it more whimsical, for lack of a better word. Like any activity that is infused with the attempt to understand what it is in the largest scale and how it connects to everything else, I think makes anything more fascinating. And even if all you care about is the function of the thing, so let's say, I don't know, you're a carpenter or something like that, right? I feel like the philosophy of how different carpenters approach their craft and all that stuff should still be interesting to even the person who's just doing like the actual work, all the way to the, what was his name, Jesus Christ, the original carpenter. What's up, Sharon? Good to see you. All right, well, this is kind of feels like the philosophy topic, and it really how it feels in my life too. It doesn't really play that much of a role in how I inform myself anymore. I don't draw these boundaries. I just kind of go through whatever it is, and um, I try and connect it to everything else that my internal image already knows to be the case. And obviously, it's always malleable, but I don't really think of it in terms of uh, different domains. So it can be fun to talk about particular ideas in philosophy, but ultimately, I think the cash value of it is how it connects to a thing that we can make better about our lives, or make better about how we make people feel, or if we can bring it into our work, or whatever it is. If it doesn't have this functional layer of making better, I feel like at this point it's just kind of a waste of energy. And maybe also why uh, there's less energy that is being animated from me to actually go through the moves when it comes to philosophy. Let's see. We'll take. Wow, for YouTube, it's going to be a bummer because it's on YouTube. I've only been going for basically about 20 minutes. Some header better. So we'll go for another few minutes today. I think it's a Sunday. It's a pretty slow day. So we'll take it easy today. If you guys have any more questions, I'll take some. If not, then we'll reconvene tomorrow with more energy for sure. All right. Well, it seems like this will be it. Thank you everybody who showed up today, and I promise tomorrow to show up with a little bit more energy and maybe also more vigor. So thank you for joining as always. Peace and love, and I'll see you tomorrow. See you YouTube as well. See you tomorrow.